Hey everybody, welcome to My Green Pets. I'm William Green. Going to update you on my orchid collection today, June the 21st, day after the summer solstice, longest day of the year. And I'm going to start out by updating you on my Cattleyas. So, mentioned last week that this Cattleya rex had been pollinated, and you can see very clearly which stem it is. Notice how the flowers on the other stems just kind of fade, but on this one in particular, the petals actually stay right where they are, and they just kind of drain all their color out and get all crispy. And when they completely dry out, I'll cut them off so that you can just see the seed pod. So hopefully that is going to be a successful seed pod. It'll take about a year for that seed to mature. And the pollen donor of this is, of course, Mayu, the awarded Cattleya rex that flowers are fading now, but it was awarded a couple weeks ago. Really excited about that. And also, very glad to see that Mayu is deciding to bloom again. Her second sheath has got buds down there in the bottom, and those will be pushing out probably in a month. Another plant that will be blooming hopefully pretty soon, this is Killa. And Killa is a Cattleya rex that got some buds a little further along in the sheath. Those are probably 3 weeks from blooming. I'm hoping this plant I'll be able to take this one to judging in July. July judging is on July 10th, so they should be in really good. Hopefully they'll have just opened at that time, so that might increase their chances of getting an award. And then we've got another Cattleya rex right here. This is Inti. Inti is a special plant because this was the very largest Cattleya rex when I bought the flask. Inti was already 6 inches tall when I got the plants out of flask. It's always been the biggest plant. It's always been, it grew the fastest. It's not the biggest plant now. It's been overtaken by this monster back here because it has undergone some setbacks. The first time that it bloomed, I repotted it and destroyed the roots, and then the plant didn't root again for another year because I had problems with snails eating the new root tips. So anyway, really happy to see Inti's flower spike. This is its second bloom. First time it was just 2 flowers, so now we've got 4. They look like they are fanning out beautifully. I don't think we'll have any interference with this leaf. But if we do, I might stake it so that it's a little bit moved out of the way. But this bud right here looks very large. That is great. And these will be opening probably in 3 days. They open really fast. You can see this one, the top one's already starting to get some white color on the top there. So that's exciting. Another Cattleya in bloom. We've got Cattleya maxima. This is a cærulea form, the blue form. And these, they really last a nice long time. They last about a month. Just beautiful flowers. And right in front of that we have HAL. This is Bulbophyllum echinolabium, and this flower is very special because I believe this is going to be the last flower on HAL for the time being. It has bloomed continuously for almost a year and a half, and you can see each of these spikes, each little crispy bract here is a previous flower, and there's over 20 on each spike. So this is its 60th flower on these 3 spikes, and you can see on the end here there's nothing else pushing out of it, so it's possible that this won't push out anymore. This one definitely, you can tell it's actually changing color. It's changing to a light brown color, which means the spike is done. So that'll dry up completely and then it should just break right off. So say goodbye to Hal. We're not going to see any of Hal's flowers for a long time, and maybe this will be a good time to repot him and check out his roots, check out everything, and make sure that he's doing okay in the places that we can't see. My Vanda falcata, just right on schedule. Every year in June it blooms, and you can see its spikes here. And it's got another one on this side as well. So really happy about those, and that should be bloomed out next week sometime. This Cattleya Blossfeldiana that was really kind of set back significantly by root loss. Still pushing out those new roots. Got 3 new roots on it, and hopefully we're gonna. It's got a new growth pushing up there too. I think it's gonna be okay. It's just gonna need some time. I'm really impressed with Jessie Lee. Check this out. Of course, it's done a great job of rooting. We've seen that, but kind of a new development is it's got it looks like a sheath. I don't know if that's a second leaf, but it looks almost like a leaf sheath pushing out there. So this, whatever this new leaf is, whether it's a new leaf or a leaf bifoliate, or if it's a new sheath in there, I'm really impressed with Jessie Lee. This is the backbulb division, and it's just grown wonderfully. Let's see, some of my seedlings, I noticed they were staying a little too wet. I had them in sphagnum, didn't like the way that was going. So these are the Cattleya Blossfeldiana seedlings. I moved them out of the sphagnum and into, this is just a wooden pot with an empty bottom. And what was happening was I was watering, and they were so deep in their container that the water was sitting in the crevices of the leaves, and it wasn't drying out, so that the bases of the leaves were starting to turn black and die. So hopefully we've remedied that. They're going to be a much drier situation now. That might slow their growth, but it's okay. Slower growth that's not rotting is better than faster growth that keeps rotting at the base. So hopefully those are going to be okay. I also took some of the dowianas. They were in a little plastic container, and some of these dowiana seedlings I actually mounted on ceramic, they're terracotta mounting boards, or plates, or whatever you want to call them. And there's another one over here. And I just tied them to there. And I'm gonna, just do as I do the other seedlings, just water them every day and let them dry out, and we'll see how they do. The Cattleya Rex babies from Peru. You can see all the new little root tips here. The old roots, you can see the old roots are, they've got that black stuff on them. That's the agar, the nutrient medium that they were in before. That's kind of dried up there. So I'm balancing water and dryness with these guys because I don't want the same thing to happen. I don't want water to get in those leaf crevices and stick too long and cause damage to the leaves. But yeah, there's lots of new little roots coming out. Really happy about those. Probably could keep it a little bit more humid in here so the root tips don't dry up. So I might work on that, raising the humidity level of the tent. But it's hard right now because it gets really warm in here. It gets about up to 28, 29 degrees C. But I definitely have made a lot of mistakes keeping seedlings too wet, so we're going to go the other way and keep them a little dry this time. The Catasetums are really taking off. Showed you these last week. I've started watering, of course. The roots are all the way to the bottom. They're in pure, tightly packed sphagnum. And yeah, this is just doing great. The bulbs are all plump, and the new growth is getting really large. One thing I don't know about these is, see the bumps? See how bumpy the leaves are? This never used to happen. And And then when I started having my plants in the greenhouse, they started getting these bumpy leaves, and so I thought it would go away now that I don't have them there anymore. But they're still bumpy, so I'm not quite sure what that is. It doesn't seem to have any real adverse plants on the, or adverse effects on the plant, but it's just kind of a aesthetic thing I'm not really a big fan of. So I'd like to know what causes those bumps. See, little Signotus Wine Delight finally getting going. It's new growth pushing out there, the new roots pushing out as well. And the bulb's still plump enough where I'm not too worried about watering it. But I have been moistening just the outer circle. So like I'll take the watering spray and just kind of spray around the outside edge here, so that there is moisture in the pot, but there's nothing wet. It's just kind of gently moist. And I'm hoping that that'll kind of draw the roots down into the pot more, but I don't know, just an experiment. And then finally we've got Fredclarkeara Desert Davison, also really taken off quickly. This one's potted in Synthic. And the roots are down there doing their thing. Searching it out. This is an experiment. I've never used Synthic before, so we're kind of just seeing what it does. One thing I've noticed is that it stays wet. It stays wet for a long time. So I've only watered it twice in the past month or so, and it's still, quite damp in there. So that's something that I want to keep my eye on. I like to be able to rinse pots through fairly often, but I don't know if that's going to be a good idea with this stuff. So, Desert Davison, growing pretty well. Yeah, I'm excited about that new Rex flower. Let's see, down here we've got my paths. We've got Bulbophyllum medusae, which is finally rooting. The new growths are quite a bit smaller than the older growths, but that's okay. It was pretty severely divided back in January, and it's also not getting a whole lot of light down here on the second level. So we might move it up back into the light. And then finally, update on the Bulbo Lovely Elizabeth. So I took a sample of like a 3-bulb sample of one of these plants and sent it to a plant pathology lab, because when I cut into the rhizome, I noticed there was a red ring around the cross section of the rhizome. Never a good sign, but I wanted to make sure because the plants grow really, really well regardless of that red ring. So I sent the plant in on June 2nd. I sent it with the tracking number, and the tracking number said it arrived, and didn't hear anything back from them. So I sent them an email last week, and they said, oh, we never got that. So it was delivered, but somehow it didn't get to where it needed to go. So that's really frustrating, because I paid for postage, never got there. So next time hopefully I can schedule with them, hey, this plant is coming, please be watching for it. So that's disappointing, but I'm still going to pursue that. I really want to know what's going on with these guys, because I hate to throw them away. I'd love to keep one. This is one of my first orchids I got back in 2014. But yeah, I'm going to keep it. And then finally my grocery store Phalaenopsaurus. It's a big white one. You can see it's starting to make buds on its spike. And those should be really nice. The flowers on this guy are absolutely enormous. Might even be branching, I'm not sure. That'd be cool. Oh, and then this Malaxis latifolia, also known as Dieniophritis. It's got lots of little babies coming up in the pot down there. But I wanted to show you the spike, which actually comes up through the grating here. I've never seen one do this. So notice the spike has actually split at the end there. Isn't that funny? So it's like it's gonna spike and it's gonna divide and keep spiking in 2 different directions. That's really funny. Kind of a mutant looking thing. Alright, well, I'm going to leave you with the image of Inti and its buds. And I wish you guys a good week and hope everything's going well for you. Oh, also, I need to mention that I just found out today that Arthur Chadwick Sr., who has written the Classic Cattleyas book, countless articles for the American Orchid Society, Orchids Magazine, huge contributor to orchid world in the United States and abroad. He passed away earlier this month on June the 2nd. Just found out today. So I just wanted to mention that, and condolences to his family. And it's a huge loss to all of us in the orchid world, but also he will live on through the thousands of plants that he propagated, hybrids that he made, articles that he wrote, books that he wrote. He's going to live on through that. But we just wanted to recognize Arthur Chadwick. And almost everything that I know about Cattleya rex, I learned from the writings of Arthur Chadwick. So I'm really disappointed that I never got to meet him. I really hoped to meet him one day, but that's how it goes. So, all right, guys. Well, have yourselves a great week, and I will see you next time right here on My Green Pets. I'm William Green. Bye.